Jumping jacks, tax, got my taxes jumping, now my bag coming with that major money, dripping blessings. Just might buy a house for my mama, bad credit. Don't even sweat it, cause they'll repair it, ain't no question. They can do it.
What's up, y'all? It's Prince Donnell, the founder of Jumping Jack Tax, and you are officially listening to $1 Million Life Lessons, where I drop $1 million gems each episode, and it's your job to pick them up. And of course, I'm here, my right-hand man, the man with the cam,
Ron Van Dam.
And we're here with another episode, but this is a very special episode that we're going to be talking about today. A quick 15, 20-minute episode, because as I have told y'all, and as Van has kept alluding to it a few times, he almost told y'all that we had a lot of things in the works, a lot of things. And with that said, I'm here to break down all of the new innovations that myself and the team have come up with over the past 8 months since quarantine up until today. And we want to end off this year with a bang. I couldn't wait until January 1st, the 2nd, or the 3rd because, you know, we're already in a new year. We got to end it off with momentum, because I believe when you end with momentum, you come in the year with momentum, right? So I'm not vacationing during December 29th to the 31st. This ain't a vacation for me because I just have different motives. I want to be the greatest, and I have a different mission that I have embarked on with changing my community. So I'm a complete servant to this. I'm a slave to the craft, and I'm a slave to the mission. So you ain't gonna see me vacationing for a very long time, but we're about to go into this new year with momentum, Van, and I'm ready to give it to everybody that's been listening to this podcast ever since. And before I get into this right now, I want to say, if you've been listening to the podcast this year, thank you so much. I've been getting a lot of the notifications from Spotify of people who've been streaming the podcast, and it's beautiful. Some people have been listening to hours on hours, every episode, binge listening, and I just appreciate you. So whether you're on Apple, Google, Spotify, thank you so much. Keep supporting. We're fully, this is a full, straight organic show. We have not had any guests on as of yet. We're just really building this organically. And in 2021, we're going to keep doing the same thing. And I hope that I continue to provide gems to you, and that Van provides gems to you, and that it helps your life, your family, your business, helps you to grow to become a better man for your relationship, yourself, whatever it may be, whatever you're getting out of this. And the only thing that I ask in return is that you share this on your social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, whatever it may be, to just expose more people to this information. That's all that we ask in return. But I personally want to say thank you for taking the time out of your day, whether you're in the car, the gym, and just listening to this information, because there are a ton of podcasts that you could be listening to. With that said, and we got that out of the way, Van, let's go ahead and get into this, man. What's going on?
Yeah, so we're going to jump right into it. Like we said, it's going to be a quick 15-minute episode. So Don does have a special announcement, since it is on the wraps of 2020, a long year for everybody, even longer year for you.
Yeah.
You know, you actually had to disappear for a few months to actually get everything in order that you're actually about to announce. So I'm going to let you take it from here. So what have you been doing for the past 12 months?
So I disappeared for a few months on social media. A lot of people were trying to figure out why. There were a number of different reasons. During quarantine, I was sitting down in my office, and obviously everybody has so much time on their hands. And at that time, I was kind of more of my innovation bag. Like, every year, you should be thinking about a way to grow the company to the next level, or it's just going to get stale. And more importantly, I want to compete on a high level with all of the other financial services and tax brands that are out there. How do you compete? And I said to myself, okay, well, what can we innovate into that's going to, number one, assist our clients and giving them a better experience, uncovering their needs, create more generational wealth opportunity for them, more retirement opportunity for them, and how can we compete on a high level with all of these other companies as well through the offerings, the services that we provide, and also assisting our those that are a part of Jumping Jack Tax with more income revenue opportunities. So I'm sitting down, I'm in my room, and I'm in my office, and I'm like, yo, what can we offer? What is it that we have? And I thought about this one service, And this is the same service that I used to offer in the past that I happen to be very good at, and something I also believe in in the right timing that I believe in, that I think everybody should have. And when I was also, this past tax season kind of taught me a lot too, because we had a lot of customers walking inside of the tax office, and I saw the need every time. Like, they walk in the office, I would ask them that question, and they'd be like, nah, I don't have it, which I'll talk about in a second. I don't have it. Or I saw that they had children. I saw that they had debt, they had homes, and they didn't have this service that we have today that we're providing. And I'm like, yo, if they don't have it, we're having these conversations with the client, and I don't feel like I'm doing my best if I don't offer them this service. So I'm sitting in the house and I'm like, bingo, I know exactly what I want. Jumping Jack Tax, the new service it is that we're going to offer. I've already done it before in the past. I have experience in it. I've done it on a high level in the bank, right? And with super high sales goals. So I'm like, hey, I can do this. So at that time, I wrote it down on my board and I said, we are officially going to be moving in to the insurance sector at Jumping Jack Tax. We're officially moving into life insurance, and we're going to be offering that through our tax offices and through all of our virtual tax professionals that we have that are in Jumping Jack Tax. And I'm like, this is the awesome opportunity. So at that time, I said, damn, if you're going to offer life insurance, as the leader, I got to be the first person to go back to get my license. It lapsed to when I left the bank because, I didn't get it renewed. So I'm like, damn, I got to go back. I got to get my insurance license. So I'm like, okay, cool. I went, found a school. By the way, I'm still working at this time, still running the company, Jumping Jack Tax. And I'm like, damn, I'm going to have to put together a schedule to be able to fit these hours in, because I think you got to do like 24 hours or something before you can actually sit for the exam. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to take it online. I'm home. It's quarantine. Let me go ahead and do it. And then right around that time, that's when I kind of disappeared from social media as well, because I'm like, if I'm going to take this 3 months to really focus in to get my license, I don't want to have any distractions. And I'm more of that person where I got to understand the science of how something is done. I don't just jump into things without having a full level of education around it. So I'm like, I'm going to focus on this. I have no time for nothing else. So I went to online school, self-studied the entire thing. And I actually told my mom as well that she need to come study too, because she's the general manager of Jumping Jack Tax and at our flagship office in Philadelphia. And I'm like, hey, if you're going to be in a location, you need to be able to have life insurance as well. So you come on board. My mom like, damn, she hasn't taken an exam in like 20 years, 30 years since high school. But I'm like, hey, you got this. I already have experience in this. I can teach you while we go through this. And a lot of the stuff was still the same. So we literally from right before work started from 7 a.m. to 9. And then after work from, we actually did it throughout the day, like 1 to 3 p.m. And then on weekends, we did from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. We really were stretching ourselves to capacity because I still had to run the company and I couldn't do that during those hours. So I'm like, all right, cool. So me and my mom, we go through studying. We probably took about a month to be able to get it done. And then right after that, I went ahead, took my exam, passed the exam, got my license. Boom, that was done. After I ended up getting my life accident and health insurance license, I'm like, hey, you know what? There's no sense of me having this license if I don't get the rest of the team to get their licenses as well. So then I'm like, okay, cool. We have AJ, we have Cassandra, who are here in the corporate office, the inner team. And I'm like, yo, y'all got to get y'all licenses as well, because y'all need to understand how this works. And since y'all are going to go get y'all licenses and I already passed my exam, I'm going to sit back down. I'm going to go through the whole process again with y'all so I can help y'all to understand so y'all can pass too. So after a whole month of me getting my license, weekends off, not doing anything, I said I'm going to take another month again to dedicate that to the team so that y'all can get y'all licenses too. So we sat down for one more month now, and I'm just going through the process with them, helping them to get an understanding of how that worked. That was a process. But we ended up getting through it, and they got their licenses as well. So now they also got their insurance licenses. And after that, that's when we now started Jack Life, which is our insurance agency now, where that's going to be the sister company to Jumping Jack Tax to be able to offer insurance, specifically life insurance products to our potential customers or the clients that we already have, to educate and then offer them services so that they can create generational wealth for their families.
Since Jumping Jack Tax offers life insurance now, what does this actually mean for the Black community as a whole?
It's huge. It's huge because, so let me tell you, one of the things that I've noticed inside of our tax offices today, like I told you, was when I sat down with a client, or not really me specifically, but when our preparer sat down with the client, or my mom, for example, you would see so much opportunity there where, number one, there was a lack of education. There was a lack of education around taxes for a lot of clients that came into our office. And then there was a huge lack of education around insurance. So I noticed that with our customers that we have today, a lot of them have kids, young children, dependents. And when we go into that conversation of, hey, do you have life insurance? A lot of them either say that they have life insurance through their job, which most times that's never enough, especially depending upon how many kids you have and how much debt that you have, such as mortgage, car. You want to provide your kids with the ability of college, going to college, providing them with the savings. You don't have nearly enough insurance in the event that you die, so they either have to have it through their job or they don't have it at all. So we got so many Americans, specifically in the Black community, walking around without being insured when there's a guarantee that you're going to die. And I'm like, yo, how can we further educate our community and provide them with options, right? It's not just about selling them insurance. Here's the thing. I don't like insurance agents who just sell. That's not our goal with Jumping Jack Tax. Our goal, again, is the foundational piece of education. We want to educate you and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, upon uncovering these opportunities, I noticed that you have 3 kids. I noticed you don't have nearly enough insurance in the event that you were to pass. Do you love your children? I do. Here's how much debt that you have, Mr. Customer. Here's this, here's that. Look, let me just show you some options that are going to help you create generational wealth for your family, right? A tax-free benefit to your family because you're going to die. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And I wanted to be able to allow our offices to have those conversations because I don't feel like I'm doing enough for the client if our conversation just stops at taxes. It's not enough. Our community needs more. And my goal is for Jumping Jack Tax to be a one-stop shop for you to pretty much get everything that you need. So like when you come into a Jumping Jack Tax location, our professionals, which I call them financial services representatives, our FSRs, financial services reps, you should be able to sit down with them. They go ahead and take care of your taxes. And then upon having a conversation with you, not just them doing your taxes, you just signing and then leaving. That's not helping anybody, right? And that's what a lot of tax offices are doing today. It's more of a come in, let me do your taxes, let me get your W-2s, your 1099s or whatever, let me go ahead and do it and let's sign, and then you get your refund. They don't have those conversations with you about, okay, what does your future look like, right? What happens when you die? And for me, I didn't want the conversation to just stop at taxes. Our financial services rep, when you walk inside of that location, they should have the ability of preparing your taxes, having a financial conversation with you, uncovering additional needs, and then from there, offering additional services that match those needs. That is the goal. And if that is insurance, then it's going to be insurance. If that is bookkeeping because you own a business and your books are in shambles because you got all of these receipts and you want us to go through that for a couple of hours, maybe you need bookkeeping, but it starts with the conversation. My goal with Jumping Jack Tax is for us to be a company that has financial conversation with our clients. And through that financial conversation, we lead you in the direction that's best fit for you. So I wanted to open up that option of insurance so that we have it available in the event that a client needs it and they don't have to go multiple places in order to get it, right? I want it to be a one-stop shop, vertical integration, straight through whatever you need, all from Jumping Jack Tax.
So I'll actually want the listeners to just take a second and actually think about it. We as Black community really don't talk about life insurance.
We don't.
At the table. From my personal experience, I lost my cousin 2 months ago. I had no idea my grandmother actually had life insurance on all her grandkids. So we was able to plan his funeral stress-free. We didn't have to worry about the money. We went to the funeral home, blah, blah. All we had to do was give them a number for the life insurance, and everything was paid for. And I also experienced planning a funeral for my grandfather who didn't have life insurance, which was stressful because we was looking for money from here, from there, and there. So it's really an important thing you have to talk to your family about. I actually didn't talk about life insurance with my family until we had a morning meeting here, and Dana said, "Hey, I want you all go home, talk to life insurance about your family." And then that's when I actually talked to my grandmother actually about life insurance. But if you can, I want you to make it make sense for people real quick. By just using the amount that you have to pay per year for life insurance and what you can get back, and then equate that with the tax refund. So, your refund, paying your life insurance for that year, and then what that can equate to Black generational wealth.
Absolutely. So let's talk about that. There's only one thing that I can say to make life insurance make sense. You ready for that one word? Death. Simple. I don't got to talk anything more beyond that. We're all going to die. That's a guarantee, right? So if you're crazy enough to walk around here with your iPhone insured, that's probably a $1,000 iPhone, having that insured in the event that it cracks, but you don't have enough insurance in the event that you die, you're already crazy to begin with, right? You're walking around super risky. That's just not smart. Not to mention, when you look at it from, let's just take another angle on this. When you look at your life in general, right? Let's look at the value of how much you're worth. Let's say, for example, and I'm going to pull out my calculator for this because I don't want to do fake math. Let's say, for example, you generate $50,000 per year, right? And I'm 30 years old, right? The average retirement age is 65. So if retirement is 65 and I'm 30, it means I have 35 years before I reach retirement, right? So if we say that then, and I got 35 years and I make, let's say, $50,000 per year, if we do 50,000 and multiply that by 35 years, that's $1.7 million, right? Which means that over the course of 35 years, you're set to make $1.7 million. That's actually how much you're worth in the workplace over the course of 35 years. That's how much your life is actually worth. That's how much value that you bring to the world. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah.
So when we look at that, you actually, if you don't have anything that's more expensive than 1.7 million, you actually are the most valuable person to yourself. That makes sense?
Yeah.
You're worth 1.7 million. You're the most valuable to yourself, which means that if you're the most valuable to yourself, you should be insuring yourself, because if you're the breadwinner of your family and you pass away, then that means that your family now is losing potentially 1.7 million that you would have brought into the household if you were alive. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when we just look at the basics of that, I'm not even going to get into the difference between term insurance versus permanent and IULs. We're not going to talk about that right now. I'll talk about that in a later video as we get deeper into it. And I won't even talk about prices and expenses and everything. Let's just talk about the basic concept of you're worth 1.7 million. In the event that you die, your family would have had that money coming in, but now that you're no longer here, they need to fill that void. That void that needs to get filled is insurance. Then from that point on, if we just take one more example, a basic concept from here is there's not many places where if I die and I have, let's say, a $500,000 insurance policy, in the event that I die, I can take $500,000, $500,000, give that to my heirs or my spouse, whomever it may be, charity, whatever you want to give it to, doesn't matter. There's not many places where that $500,000 is tax-free, where the person who's receiving it does not have to pay any taxes on that money. You know how valuable that is? Do you know how much of a head start that would give your children? How much of a head start? Let's sit here and think about it. Imagine if, I don't know, my great-grandmother, which I think I might have only met my great-grandmother one time, but let's just look at the chain of events. Let's say my great-grandmother, I don't know if she did or not, but I'm just going to use an example. Let's say that she had enough insurance for every single one of her kids. And my grandmother, right, upon my great-grandmother dying, my grandmother, let's say, received a life insurance check for $100,000 to be able to, just because my great-grandmother died. My grandma got a life insurance check for $100K. She gets that life insurance check for $100K tax-free. Now, that puts her further ahead than when she was because my great-grandmother died. With that $100K now, she now has options. She has options to be able to provide a better life for my mother. She has options to be able to buy a home. She has options of being able to invest those into getting investment property. She could be starting a business. She could just be sitting on some cash, or more importantly, she could invest it into the stock market and let it work. Whatever it is, she has the money available and the options to be able to have a better life than my great-grandmother had because she passed, right? So now my grandmother goes ahead and does that. Now with that money, she goes ahead and moves it, which then trickles down to my mom now, who officially has a better life because of the fact that my grandmother got life insurance from my great-grandmother. Then my grandmother has not passed, God forbid, no time soon. But in the event that that does happen now, you're talking about my grandmother now. She has life insurance to be able to pass down to my mom. And then my mom passes down to the kid. Do you see how different that is? How just literally within a matter of 3 generations through life insurance and a tax-free benefit going to the heirs, that could change everything for your family. Everything for the last name. Everything. Everything. That simple. Even if you didn't want to invest in the stock market, you did not want to buy real estate. You didn't want investment properties. You don't care about nothing. You're like, hey, I'm lazy. I don't want to do nothing. There are more people who don't want to do anything than there are people who are motivated, right? We can agree on that. Everybody's not going to invest in the stock market just because there's now a big boom on the internet where everybody's like, hey, you should invest in it. Everybody's just not going to do it. Or some people are going to get motivated and they just stop. So that's fine if you're not that person. But even then, with life insurance, you still have the ability at that point of still passing down something of value, even if you did nothing. All you had to do is just pay the bill. That's it. Again, there are technicalities to that, but just the simple concept of that. And those are the conversations that I want to have with clients who come inside of our tax office, especially with our tax offices being, of course, in the hood, right? Those are the conversations I want to have. Empowering our community and telling them options. You would think life insurance is like a basic concept that everybody should understand. It's not. If it were, as a community, we all be in a better place right now. So if we can all agree right now, obviously life insurance is not a basic concept. Obviously everybody doesn't do it because if it were the case, more of our community would be in a better place than not. Can we agree?
Yeah.
So it's clear that is a void. That it is a huge area of concern, and it's something that we want to now tackle with Jumping Jack Tax. Of when we have the tax conversation with you, we uncover your needs, and we have the ability of having the insurance conversation with you as well.
What do you have to say to people who think life insurance is not affordable? That they don't think they can receive $250,000 if they were passed, unless they put in, a substantial amount of money.
Well, here's the thing. I won't advise on what's expensive and what's not because that's subjective to the person depending upon how they value their lives and their families, right? So I can't ever say what's expensive to somebody. What I do say is I'll give an example for somebody like me that's 26 years old. Let's just break this down. 26 years old, I just ran a quote on myself, term policy, ran a quote, 26, 30-year term. I'll be 56 by the time the term ends. I sometimes, depending upon the company and the policy, I have the ability of renewing the policy, right? But let's just take it as 30 years. If I'm betting on the fact that with me being 26, God forbid, but I die between now and 56 years old. If I were to get, let's say, a $500,000 term life insurance policy right now, that probably will only cost me maybe up to $30 a month. $30. It might actually be less. I can't remember the quote to exactly. $30 if I'm in good health, right? Just normal health, $30. That's about $360 per year. And in the event that I die, $500,000, boom, goes to my son, goes to my wife, family, everybody taken care of.
That's something you can pay like with your tax return.
$30.
On the spot.
Listen to me. That's $1 a day. $1 a day. You're spending $1 a day somewhere else that means nothing. You're probably putting it into your system with junk food. which is already causing you to get closer to death anyway, right? So when you think about this, you're already spending the money on junk food. It's causing you to get closer to death. So you might as well do it the other way around because you're already signing your death wish anyway if you're not taking care of yourself. So why not?
True. So before we wrap this up, there's another announcement that you have to make. I don't know if you want to make it on this podcast.
No, I can because we could do the podcast all together as one.
All right.
Absolutely. So the next announcement that I do want to make is during that quarantine phase, a lot of things happen here. During that quarantine phase, I also was like, hey, life insurance is a service that we want to offer, and it's something that our community needs. These conversations got to be had. But I'm like, how can I take the company, the structure of Jumping Jack Tax to that level for us to compete with the other tax franchises that are out here, the other financial companies that are out here? And I'm like, hey, right now, Jumping Jack Tax is a licensing company. And through licensing, basically what we're doing at the moment is for those that join Jumping Jack Tax, they can join through our program. And then we have a program to teach them how the tax business works. We provide them with the software. We provide them with our trainings in the community right now. But we don't really give them access to the Jumping Jack Tax name. We don't allow them to open a Jumping Jack Tax like location. Like if you're in Houston right now, you can't open up a full-blown Jumping Jack Tax physical location, a brick and mortar, which has huge advantages. You can't fully brand yourself as Jumping Jack Tax as a virtual professional right now. So at that point, I'm like, I really want to go deeper into really providing people with the name, like the Jumping Jack Tax household name. How can we allow everybody to utilize this name? How can we make this a movement, which it already is? How can we expand this movement? How can we get Jumping Jack Tax locations on every corner, right? The same way that our competitors are. How can we get it on every corner? And how can we develop a system that no matter where you currently are, no matter where you are, if you have no business experience, we have a system, kind of like the McDonald's system, right? Like the milkshake machine here, the fry machine is there, that machine is there. How can we build a system like that so that when you join Jumping Jack Taxes, we can give you that system to follow, and we're doing it all the right way. And with that said, I was like, hey, Jumping Jack Tax officially needs to become a franchise. Right? Not a licensing company anymore, a franchise. Like all of the franchises that y'all know and love out there. Now, I said to myself, cool, Jumping Jack Tax is going to become a franchise. That was the hardest part. That took about 8 months. We actually just got our franchise disclosure documents, our franchise agreement, and our operation manual. We just got that back last week. And we had lawyers drafted up, super, super tight. And now, with that being said, we are officially a franchise, which now gives people who want to come into the tax industry the ability to do two things. Number one, you're going to be able to open up a physical brick and mortar location if you have the finances to do so, which now allows you to offer walk-in traffic inside of the community and offer virtual returns through our virtual infrastructure that we've already built. Or you can become a virtual franchisee and just do it everything straight from home or through like a small office, but you're not accepting any walk-in traffic or clients, right? So that's the two options that we now have, and you can fully call yourself Jumping Jack Tax. You're doing business as Jumping Jack Tax. You have a location. You are Jumping Jack Tax, right? And through that now, we've developed a system. We developed an operations manual where you can follow this system that's going to be able to work, right? And it allows us to now get deeper in with all of our franchisees to really offer a ton of more support. Now you're also going to be able to wrap your car. You can wrap your car with the Jumping Jack Tax branding, like the cars we already have, right? You can wrap yourself with that branding. You can actually have the Jumping Jack Tax mascot at your physical location, Jack, that everybody loves on the internet. You can use Jack at your location. So we've opened up so much more opportunity that as a franchisee, you now are going to be able to not only just generate revenue and profits, but really help the community as well through all of the initiatives that we're going to have as a franchise, right? So with us being a Black-owned franchisor now, which there are not many Black-owned franchisors, with us being that franchisor, we now have certain initiatives that we're going to require from our franchisees so we can continue to help the community. And one of those initiatives is that all of our franchisees are going to be required to have to They're going to be required to have either a food drive every month or a financial literacy course every month free to the community, right? We're going to be having those events on a monthly basis. We're going to be giving back and having donations on behalf of the company. So like all of the things that we're doing, just the franchise just opens up so much more opportunity, and it provides yet again another opportunity for investors and those that want to start a business the ability of creating generational wealth. We already know that taxes is a need-based business. It's a perfect opportunity for somebody who is new to business and you may not have sales experience. You may not have advertising experience. You may not know how to talk to anybody. Well, with taxes, everybody is your customer. So now you don't got to worry about trying to sell somebody on a service that they don't need. They need their taxes done. This is the oldest industry in the book. And more importantly now, with us being a franchise, now that Jumping Jack Tax is advertising the brand on a national level, right? With that now, by us advertising the Jumping Jack Tax brand on a national level, by you becoming a franchisee, now when you think about it, you may not be good at advertising, but because you're a part of the Jumping Jack Tax system, because you're a franchisee and you have a brick and mortar location or you're virtual and we have our infrastructure, now as we do advertising, the more viral that Jumping Jack Tax gets, it increases the value of the brand. And by increasing the value of the brand, it automatically brings customers to your location. So that was the part that we were missing, that I'm like, we need to transition over. It took 8 months, but now we're officially here. We are officially a franchise and we are accepting franchisees. And we will on our website, it has the entire list of qualities, the 10 core Jack Pro qualities that were the success qualities that we're looking for before you become a franchisee. You will be vetted, right? We're going to be vetting because we're looking for very specific people, right? Not necessarily from a financial level, but from a responsibility and a skill set level. And we just want to ensure that with us being a Black-owned tax franchise officially, that we set the mark and we take back market share from every other tax franchise that's inside of our communities right now that have offices on every half a mile. And we know those companies, we know the tax franchises that I'm talking about right now. I don't got to name them, but just know that we're taking the market share away from all of them now because we officially have the infrastructure like them, and we have a better infrastructure than them because we have a virtual infrastructure set up as of now. And we're offering additional services. And more importantly, we really want to serve the community. Unlike, I would say, other franchises, it's not the same because you can just tell by just the way that those interactions are with the clients, right? We're doing it totally different over here with our Black-owned tax franchise. And I'm just glad to say that we are officially at this point going into 2021. We now have the life insurance agency set up. We now have the franchise set up. And as a franchisee, you're going to be able to offer taxes and insurance through your location, brick and mortar or virtual, to uncover conversations, which makes it great for you as well.
Sounds like an eventful year you had.
Listen, we are officially on a roll, and this is just the beginning too. I haven't even got into everything else yet. This is just the beginning, but just know when you saw me disappear for a while, it was actual work that was being done. It wasn't fiddle. I wasn't playing. This was real work that was done. And now it's December and it's officially time. We're launching, we're blossoming in January. And now you're going to see a Jumping Jack Tax location in every single community. And that is the goal. So here's the thing. If you're somebody right now who's an investor, or you're somebody who wants to start a business and you have the necessary capital to do so, which on our website, you'll be able to see that. Listen, stop. Don't think about taxes for a moment right now. Don't think about insurance for a moment. What I want you to think about is the fact that Jumping Jack Tax is a movement. We are a movement. And through our movement, we offer the opportunity of taxes and insurance, which then produces revenue through this movement. Think about this movement and how we can really shift an industry that hasn't changed for 50 years. The same exact tax company owns 25% of market share in our community, and nobody has competed with them yet and actually took them out. And with our movement, with this movement over these next 10 years of Black people supporting each other and us really offering valuable service with this movement, we have the ability to really take out the main competitor in the tax industry right now that we all know. And that competitor, that competitor is done. if we all submit to this movement and say, hey, we can make this happen. So if you're somebody that's an investor, or you're somebody that's new, want to start a business and you don't know what it is, taxes is a need-based business. We need it in our communities. We can offer a different opportunity and service than the main competitor who's in that industry right now, who's taking up 20 million returns a year, and we could take back that market share. I know we can.
2020 sounds like an eventful year. So Jumping Jack Taxes now launching as a franchise.
Absolutely.
Offering life insurance.
Absolutely.
We got one more. We got the young king coming.
Absolutely.
In a couple of weeks.
Absolutely. And in the next episode, we'll talk about the advancements that we've made to the Jumping Jack Tax app, where we've completely changed the entire technology, where now through the Jumping Jack Tax app, you're going to be able to get your entire tax return prepared, sign your documents, keep all your documents on file, talk to a professional through instant chat, everything through the app. You don't even got to open up your laptop to do anything. We ain't going to talk about that yet, though. We're going to get there in another episode because this is too much for y'all right now. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, I guess. So you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, we're going to wrap it up. And all I say is this. Make sure if you listen to this, man, just make sure, all I ask is that download the Jumping Jack Tax app, find a professional near you, just give us a try. Is all that I say. Give us a try. Let us show you that we can earn your business through doing a great job, through our licensees right now that are going to become franchisees, doing a great job for you and building a valuable relationship over the next 10, 20 years. That's all that I ask. And just continue to share this information out so more people can get access. And if you're interested in the opportunity of becoming a franchisee, then you could go to jumpingjacktaxes.com and check out all the information, because we would love to have a conversation with you to see if you fit our system. With that said, I'm Prince Donnell, founder of Jumping Jack Tax, the Black-owned tax franchise, and you are officially listening to $1 Million Life Lessons, and I'm here with my right-hand man with the cam,
Ron Van Dam.
and we will see y'all again. We working.
Jumping jacks, tax, got my taxes jumping, now my bag coming with that major money, dripping blessings. Just might buy a house for my mama, bad credit, don't even sweat it, cause they'll repair it, ain't no question, they can do it. It's